This video is sponsored by AG1. Save $20 when you subscribe using the link in the description. As a child, you're filled with enthusiasm and sensitivity. The world is small and your eyes are big. But as you grow older, everything gets bigger and you stay mostly the same size, give or take a few feet. The chaos, the complexity, and the impossible obscurity of the world surround and overtake you as your sense of significance and security shrinks down to a tiny pinpoint. You continue on, following the course. You do things, you accomplish things, you obtain things, but nothing ever solves it. That panging disquiet, unrest, and desolation. You keep finding yourself in the same place, no matter how hard you try or how far you run. Loved ones die, hearts break, horrible things happen. You realize more and more the horrible things that could and will happen. Everything becomes a faded backdrop to the unrelenting problems of the day-to-day. Eventually, you learn how to deal with it. You become numb, indifferent. You make sure nothing can really affect you. It wasn't a conscious decision. You don't remember making it, at least. Life hurt to touch, and so, naturally, you stopped holding on to it so tightly. Now, nothing much affects you, but you don't feel much of anything. It isn't quite apathy, in the traditional sense at least. It's not quite depression. It's something else. Something in between or outside of these terms. It isn't a feeling like you're stuck in quicksand, but more like the feeling of just okayness while sitting on the white sands of a beautiful beach. You still function mostly fine, you still get out of bed, get things done, pursue goals, achieve things, engage with the world, but it all feels more automatic. Things you used to love to do, you might still do, but they don't feel the same. Or perhaps you don't do them at all anymore, and you haven't found a replacement. You don't have much of a social life anymore, but you're okay with that. You still go places and do things and know when things are nice, but the awareness of this is often more intellectual than visceral. Achievements don't feel conclusively great, but more like short-lived breaks from the pain of the failures. You still keep going at nearly full speed, but you aren't sure why or for what. Perhaps you've been here for a while. Perhaps you've just found yourself here. Whatever the case may be, firstly, it's arguably important to recognize that this is a natural and likely inevitable stop on a life that has passed through enough years, enough real moments, enough exposure and reflection, a life that contains enough inbuilt sensitivity. But of course, this is not a great place to stay. Like how a callus on part of the hand can serve a useful purpose, a reduction of sensitivity to a particular area that's been frequently irritated, a degree of a kind of indifference and apathy toward the uncontrollable, irritating, and terrible aspects of life can be useful, if not essential. In many seminal schools of philosophy, like Stoicism, Taoism, and Buddhism, a central principle is to embrace a kind of indifference to or detachment from reality. From the perspective of the Stoics, it is important to distinguish what one can control from what one cannot, and then exhibit a sort of indifference or tempered concern and response toward what one cannot, which is essentially everything outside of oneself. To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden, Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote. In the case of Taoism, a central tenet is to give up the attempt to control things by practicing a sort of non-action. From the perspective of Buddhism, and perhaps also from a more modern Western parallel, philosophical pessimism, life is fundamentally suffering, and the way to overcome suffering is through non-attachment, or transcending the condition of the mind by ending its relentless attachment to worldly concerns and desires. Ironically similar to what Seneca said, while simultaneously suggesting a very different sentiment, pessimist philosopher Emile Cioran wrote, "Having always lived in fear of being surprised by the worst, I have tried in every circumstance to get a head start, flinging myself into misfortune long before it occurred." Whether we agree with any or all of these philosophies, or these individual ideas within them, there is undoubtedly some merit and reasonableness to applying a degree of detachment or indifference to certain aspects of life. But a whole other problem occurs when we take it too far. A hand entirely calloused over makes it hard to feel anything with sensitivity, hard to experience and discern the details of things, the softness of skin, of fabric, of the sand of a beautiful beach. In truth, we often build a castle when we only need a shield. The pendulum swings all the way over into the realm of apathetic stupor, and then it can often just stop swinging altogether. Because perhaps the most dangerous part of apathy is that one of its side effects is not caring much about its side effects. However, if you want to get rid of or reduce a callus on the hand, you have to stop doing the same thing with your hand, and then give it time for the callus to go away. Likewise, if one wants to reduce the callous nature of oneself, you have to, at least partly, stop doing the same thing with yourself, with your life, and then give it time to go away. This could involve partly changing how you live day to day, adding activities, hobbies, challenges, or people, or perhaps changing or eliminating activities, hobbies, or people. Or, rather, it could involve changing how you think about things, uncovering a new framework or paradigm of perception and a way of interfacing with the world. Or, it could be a combination of both or something else. Of course, no matter what it is, it won't be easy. Finding one's way out of a state in which one has lost a notable amount of care or feeling requires a certain amount of care or feeling that one might no longer easily have access to. At least not right now. But perhaps Albert Camus said it best when he wrote, "In the middle of winter, I at last discovered that there was in me an invincible summer." Ultimately, life moves in seasons. We can't always be energized or excited or principally in tune with the good. We can't always be warm and welcoming. We can't always be bright and exuding with life. But like the snow-covered soil underneath a wintry landscape still has the ability to produce new life with the changing of seasons, so too do you still have the ability to foster new life in time. You still have your internal world, your faculties, your perspective, your creativity, and your ability to adapt and endure. If you weren't always here, you likely won't always be. And even if you are, you'll still adapt and you'll be okay. Whether it's in seasons of struggle or one lifelong experience of the coldness of the universe, through your perspective and individual choices, you could still provide yourself with comfort, with meaning, with the warmth of invincible fortitude. Perhaps all we have is this, the invincible summer inside of ourselves. But perhaps that's all we'll ever need. This video was sponsored by AG1. Mental health and wellness in general are very complex. There's no simple solution, no one-size-fits-all. But there are, of course, foundational building blocks that are essential across the board. One of them, which we all know but still so easily overlook and neglect, is our nutrition. It's actually unsettling how much our gut health can affect our mental and emotional experience of the day-to-day. AG1 is a daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health, including the brain, the gut, and the immune system. And it does all of this with one drink. One of the hardest parts of getting daily nutrition is dealing with the nuisance of it all. Different supplements, different dietary requirements, and so on. I've been drinking AG1 on a daily basis for nearly a year now, and it completely eliminates this problem. It makes it simple and convenient and compacts everything into one easy habit. It tastes great, and it's the perfect way to start the day on the right foot, supporting sustained energy and improved mood throughout the day, as well as supporting overall health in general over the long term. AG1 does this through its science-driven blend of pre- and probiotics, digestive enzymes, plant extracts, antioxidants, high-quality ingredients like rhodiola, magnesium, and B vitamins, and so much more. Especially during the holiday season, managing stress and supporting your digestion are essential, and beginning the new year with a habit in place that gives your mind and body the edge to move forward into feeling better is, of course, one of the best things you can do. And thanks to AG1, now it's one of the easiest. Save $20 when you subscribe at drinkag1.com/pursuitofwonder. AG1 is also offering a free 1-year supply of AG vitamin D3 and K2 and 5 travel packs with your first purchase using my link, which is in the description. And as always, thank you so much for watching in general, and see you next video.